All right. Good morning, Center for Spiritual Living, Palm Desert and beyond, wherever you're joining us from. We're so grateful. It is Thursday, July something. I'm actually surprised I remembered it's even Thursday in this never-ending one big fat day. It's a good day, Center for Spiritual Living. I'm so grateful that you're joining us once again. You can see on the screen as well, that is my friend Debbie Dixon, and I'm so grateful to have reunited with her over the past couple of weeks, and we're getting to know each other again, which is cool. I got to know Debbie more when I started my center Genesis. Well, not when I started it, but when we were in Burien, I think is when I first met you. No, before that?
I actually saw you on stage with Reverend John or Beckwith.
Oh, Michael. Oh,
Michael. I went at the hall. Yeah.
Benaroya Hall. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. My center then was still at Highline Community College.
Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, we moved around the campus a little bit. That was fun. So anyway, I'm grateful to have you with us this morning. I think we're going to have a great conversation. You're such a fascinating person in what you're up to now, and that's what I mean, kind of about getting to know you again, and some of the things that you're up to. You're up to a lot, aren't you?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
The same as everybody dealing with this craziness and.
Right. Yeah. So just generally, how are you holding up with the craziness? How's your heart? How's your soul, generally speaking, before we go down the rabbit hole?
Generally, as long as I can, avoid social media and external input, it's amazing.
That seems to be a common theme. Social media, I think, is starting to make people crazy a little bit.
Yes, please turn it off.
Yeah, right? God, it's amazing. So I want to start here. I want to show some folks a few. So again, I mentioned you started a yoga studio. This was, how long ago was it now then? It was 10 years ago?
At least, yeah. 11 years ago, or no, 10 years ago. Yeah, you're right.
Okay. So I was, before we came on live, folks, I was teasing with Debbie. I said, so how can many people do some of the poses that you do? So and you said, look at this, gang. So this is Debbie. Where's that? Costa Rica?
Yes. Yeah. Just this March. Yeah.
And how long do you hold that pose for?
Oh, I don't know. That one is a little more challenging. So I could probably, I don't know, maybe hold it for 30 seconds.
Oh my God. And what's this pose called?
This is Ekapade Galavasana, which is flying pigeon pose.
Okay. And so is there a particular internal or spiritual discipline that you enter into, an internal kind of conversation or something when you're in a pose?
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. Yoga is very much the system to confront the self, and to be able to do something like this, you have to get out of your head. You have to really be focused and present. Yeah.
Trey, go ahead and flip through some of these too. With just here's another one. And I love no pressure, no diamonds, no struggle, no strength. I mean, this is great. And love is the truth. That's your mantra for life. That's your thing. We're going to get into that too. Trey, go ahead and keep, look at this. I'd be dead.
Also Costa Rica. That's beautiful. What's this pose called, Debbie? This is just a forearm balance. So, dolphin armed, I guess handstand. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, Trey, keep on going.
Oh, there's Peru.
And that's when you took a group to I'm sorry, Debbie, go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. Machu Picchu. So I led a retreat. I do retreats all over. So a lot of those are retreats in Costa Rica I was guiding. This is a retreat to Peru where we hiked the Inca Trail. We did 4 days. It was an incredible experience, spiritual experience.
I bet. Awesome. We're going to get into that too. Go ahead, Trey. Do we have more?
Oh yeah, this is the studio. So there's again, similar. That's just a headstand with some fancy eagle legs.
Yeah, just a headstand, folks. Just a headstand. Yeah. Yep. Cool. So love is the truth. The Lit tribe. I love that. LITT, the Lit tribe. Talk to us about that. That's what you're up to right now. Yeah. That's your
Yeah,
business. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because you know, really that came about several years ago when our administration changed. And there was that first semblance of a great divide, right, where people were very much standing on their side, and I started to feel, and I was also shook a little bit and kind of noticing that, like, where do I stand? And so I saw people with really good intentions, beautiful hearts that were doing these incredible things like marches, organizing marches in Seattle, and all of these wonderful things with good intentions. And they would start with this intention of being for something powerful. And then all of a sudden the message would change to what they were against. And there would be a huge focus on, and even their signs would be against this. And I had a woman approach me one day asking me if I would participate. And I said, I love what you're doing. And I know your heart's in the right place. But when I see all of this negativity, I mean, you're standing against something, not for something. I can't get on board. And she started crying. And she said, it's exactly how I feel. You know, when I started this, and somehow it just got out of my hands. And now I just feel negative around it. And I don't feel as good, and the charge isn't there.
Mm.
And I said, you know, the only way to gauge is to constantly check in with that guide of love being the truth. Are you still in love? Are you still in love? Or are you in fear? Are you reacting against something? And the moment you slip over here, you are no longer, bringing into fruition what it is that you originally want to create. In fact, fear is retraction. It's going to hold you back. We want to move forward. We want to create change. We've got to be in love. So I developed this company back then and trademarked Love is the Truth and built an organization. It's a nonprofit, and that's where it started.
Yeah, cool. So how do we know if we're in love or in fear? How do we know?
Yeah, so there's so many ways to be able to guide or tell if you're in love or fear. I mean, honestly, one of the biggest ways is noticing it in your body. You know, fear is very much contracting, right? It doesn't feel good. There's resistance there. It can even create sickness and, ailment. But we notice, like, if you even were to picture somebody who is scared, right? They're retracting, they're covering themselves up, they're holding. And when we think of somebody that's in love and in happiness and joy and bliss, you expand. You want to share it with people. You want to go and tell people about it. You don't want to hide. And so these are the two. When we're in love, that's when we can create the biggest impact. We can change, we can transform. When we're in fear, we're contracted, we're not going to impact anything around us. So one of the ways is just kind of noticing how you're feeling internally.
Yeah.
Good or bad.
Your emotions are a tremendous guide, aren't they?
Yes.
Yeah. Your feeling tones. I want to remind folks that please send your comments in. Debbie and I would love to, interact with you and have this be an interactive thing. By all means. I'm just checking in right now. Okay. So does the yoga? How much does the yoga still play a part in? Do you still have the studio now?
I do not.
You do not. So how much does your yoga practice still play into Love is the Truth and some other?
It's everything. I'm so grateful to yoga. Yoga has been misconstrued a little bit, because we do, people get, they see pictures like the ones that you showed of me, and they're like, okay, that's not for me. I can't do that. And it's daunting. And no, that is not what yoga is. I can be practicing yoga as I'm walking down the street, right? Right now I can be practicing yoga. Yoga is really cultivating the art of being present within oneself. And a lot of people, that's the scariest thing. For somebody to ask them to sit with themselves for a little bit, turn on everything, no distractions, just be with you.
Amen. Right? Yep.
Yeah. And yoga teaches you how to do that. One of my favorite quotes of a yogi is Yogi Bhajan said, the goal of yoga is to poke, provoke, confront, and elevate. So in the pose, you take a challenging pose and you're basically poking at yourself. You're going to start to get angry. You're going to get fearful. You're going to have emotions arise. You're going to be pissed at the teacher, pissed at the pose, angry. You want out of it. So this is you poking, you're provoking, and then you have to confront whatever it is that's showing up, whether it's fear, whether it's anger. You confront it. You recognize it as something being made up by the mind, right? A construct of the mind. It's not real. It's not happening. And then when you can release it, not react to it, you elevate.
Mm.
And that's why those poses become more challenging, right? Because you want to keep poking, provoking, going deeper, going further. Again, I've been at it 24 years. So my poses look a little bit, day one, very different experience.
Yeah. But same process no matter what.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So when I look like an idiot out there on the, and that,
No.
like, no, I love to make fun of myself. So
Yeah.
trying to even do the most simple, like, downward dog or something like that. It's the same thing as when you're holding a pose, when you're like totally contortion, it's the same internal thing. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Very much so. Yeah, the goal is the same for sure. And we get kind of hung up in our external experiences, right? We want to look to the outside world and go, the reason I'm upset is because of this. And we're always looking, and that shows up on the mat as well. If I start to do a pose and then rage starts to come up, or I'm frustrated, I'm irritated, I'm going to look to the external. I'm going to say it's because the room's too hot. The teacher's irritating. I don't like their voice. I don't like this music. We're going to look to the external. And yoga teaches you, no, it's impossible for the external world to create an emotion within you. That is your creation. That is what you're responsible for. So the fact that anger is bubbling up, be grateful. It was probably already in you. Now feeling it, you get to confront it, and then you get to release it.
Yeah.
Your choice.
So that's very interesting. So I'm thinking, like, in terms of meditation, we talk about be your own best friend and these types of things, but it's rare where we actually really, like you mentioned earlier, really spend time with ourselves in reflection, in meditation and prayer, just to know who we are, what pushes our buttons. Because in the spiritual path, in the spiritual walk, whatever the disciplines are, oftentimes we think, well, I have to show up a certain way, or I have to be reconciled, or, it's all good. And rarely is it all good.
Right.
Rarely.
Yeah. Well, it's not, so in the Buddhist tradition, and really this is also yogic, right? What yoga is a system. So, and again, we get tied up in Western society as where it's sort of been diluted to as this physical practice, but really it's so not, me sitting here talking to you can be a yogic practice.
Yeah.
And the goal of yoga is liberation from suffering. And the yogis believe that the suffering is self-induced and born in the mind. So does this practice to remove the angst from the body, because oftentimes the mind will trap things here. The physical body is just showing us where there's something off up here. If we are experiencing issues, for example, feet, knees, hips, oftentimes this is something that's happening up here where we feel constricted, restricted. It's a survival instinct, fear. But if we can resolve it here, we can oftentimes heal here.
Yeah.
But meditation, when, and again, in the Buddhist philosophy, there's something called the 5 hindrances. In yoga, I teach them as the 5 enemies. These show up easily spotted, not easily, but if you're looking for them in meditation, because now we don't have the external world to blame it on. And then they show up in our external world as, again, the teacher that's irritating you, the music, but when we're quiet, we can just notice them as workings of the mind. And the 5 enemies are, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but sloth, torpor, like, being bored or tired. It's all those things. Restless.
Is it it's like the seven deadly sins? Are you familiar with that?
I don't know. Yeah.
Well, sloth. I mean, that's, yeah.
Is that one of them? Sloth, torpor?
Absolutely. No, it's kind of the same thing. It's sloth. I can't even remember what they are right now. But anyway, yeah, it sounds like the same thing.
And doubt, agitation, which like anger, frustration, desire. So maybe they are similar, only here there's only 5 that they say, but and they'll show up very simply, but these are things that show up in our life and they take us off our path, right? Desire is there to lure you away, right? It's always there.
Yep.
And really with meditation, the goal is, they say, to want nothing, to be nothing, to do nothing, just to sit there, you know? And so then we can notice when the desire shows up, and we can notice it as desire, and we can say, no, right now, I'm not responding, you know?
Yep. Yep.
Doubt is huge.
Doubt is huge. Yep.
It's huge. And doubt shows up in several different layers. And like in yoga, it's doubt in the teacher, doubt in the process. Like, you know, does this teacher even know what they're talking about? Should I be listening? Right? All of that. Doubt in the process is like, I mean, is this really going to work? Is this going to hurt me? Is this da 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 da? There's all these different things. And then there's doubt in my capabilities. What am I capable of? And these are the three ways that doubt shows up on the mat. And on the mat, we can, you know, there's no external stuff happening, so we can confront that. We can go, okay, I have doubt in this teacher. Maybe I need a teacher I don't have doubt in.
Yeah.
You know, if I have doubt in the process, maybe I need to look at that, do some investigating and figure out, you know, and then I can show up confidently on the mat and start to really do the work.
So it could be the teacher, or one of the things that I've come to is that, you know, the only relationship we have is the one with ourselves, which is what I'm hearing you saying too. And then everything is a projection out of that.
Totally. Yeah.
So it could be the teacher, but we have to do some reflection and some investigation, like you said, first.
Right.
So that we're taking responsibility for our lives, making the choices that serve us really, but also making sure that we're really taking responsibility for our lives. That it's not all like, and that's one of the things I keep hearing. It's not out there. It's not about what's happening. Yeah.
No, it's never out there. Out there is pointing to what you need to work on in here. And like I said, doubt is so huge. I always tell people that there's this thing within us that there's actually two, faithometer and deservometer. And so whenever we are creating something or wanting something, for example, you know, the studio that I created, and
tell us the story about that, would you?
You were a big piece in that, I truly believe, but because, you know, at the time, I think it was Highline is where you were. And so it was this place to come and kind of get filled back up with that faith and infinite possibilities. And back then I was facilitating groups on realizing your dreams and how to work power of intention into your life and all of this stuff. And it was all just a beautiful, masterful sort of test ground for me. I was like, at life as, let me just try this stuff. And so I brought together this group of people in, you know, that I was facilitating, and I said, let's all try, you know, realizing the life of our dreams. Everybody bring in what it is that you want to create. And everybody did. We did that. And what I noticed was, you know, that first of all, nobody knows what they want. Biggest,
what do you really want?
Yeah. Oh, ask that question to somebody. It's actually the biggest key to everything. When I'm doing life coaching with people, all I'm ever doing is going, okay, I've heard all the things you're irritated about. Let's switch. Tell me what you want. And that's when they just pump the brakes. Like, I got nothing, you know, and then we work together to create that picture. Tell me what you want. So I noticed this, you know, a million years ago when I was facilitating these groups. I said, okay, the easiest thing should be for all of you to come and share with me your big dreams. I even gave them a week to think about it. Bring these big dreams to the table. And nobody knew what they wanted.
Wow.
Amazing. And I discovered that there were blocks in people. That one of the hugest things was, I would say, you know, what is it that you want? And they would go, well, I can't have that because, and they had a story that they had been telling for a long time, that, you know, they'd given up on the dream and they were just holding on to their story. They let go of the dream so they could hold the story. And I noticed how difficult it was to sort of point that out to people. You realize that that's just a story. We can let that go. From an outside perspective, you can totally have your dream. And I would see how people were holding on to their blocks. Well, what happened with the studio was It was so interesting. I was in real estate at the time, and real estate, this is when real estate started tanking, 2009, 2010, when that crazy, I was a realtor.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, wow. So similar to what we're kind of dealing with, now, like just big shifts, huge. And you're sort of looking at, am I going to lose my house? What's going to happen? I don't know. I mean, everybody, I'm watching people that had successful businesses with, 10 employees under them, laying off everybody and kind of devastated. And so I was in this environment. I had actually been renegotiating. I put my house on purpose into foreclosure so that I could renegotiate my loan, which is what I was doing with a lot of people. I was a single mom, 2 kids, taking care of all of this. And then real estate was tanking and there's no possibility of making sales. So I'm in a very precarious position. And
Did everything feel dark? Were you in a dark space or a hopeful space?
What was really incredible was I felt like a breakthrough. Actually, it was at one of my meetings, I had this incredible breakthrough. Absolutely. I avoided the darkness. So I stopped going to work because that environment was so heavy. I stopped going, and anywhere where I started to notice, just like now, turn off social media, where you start to feel this is no longer healthy. So I started to find ways to still work through life, but be in a healthier environment. And I remember at one of my meetings, just dropping to my knees and saying, I surrender. I surrender. And I kind of loved this feeling that it was a really great feeling that everything had been wiped out. So there's no possibility of losing anything, right? What more can you take? From here, I can build anything. And there was that freedom I discovered in that moment. And it was really interesting. And so I'm driving, and one of my people that was coming to my groups had called me up. He became a friend, called me up, and he said, Debbie, you're always asking everybody else what they want. What do you want?
In your face.
Yeah. Yeah. You know it when people throw that back on you, right? It's hey, don't do that to me. What do you mean? I don't know. And so he was, what do you want? And I said, well, gosh, now I have to play my own game, right? So I have to answer. I said, what I've always wanted is to have my own yoga studio. At the time, I wasn't even a teacher. And he goes, well, why don't you? And I said, well, I don't even have a teaching certificate. He goes, well, why don't you? And I could feel that block. I could feel him pulling my story, my excuses, right? All the stories I had. I was like, because I have never had an extra $4,000 sitting around and somebody to take care of my kids and my responsibility so I could go do that. And I was getting angry, right? Like he was pulling at these strings and I could feel it. And he goes, it sounds like a block. I swear to God, he was turning it all back on me. And I was like, no, this is not a block. This is very different. This is very different. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to prove to him this is different. And I can still feel how frustrated I was. So right then I'm passing this gym on my left, and I just pulled into the gym, and I'm wearing all my, real estate gear, my pumps and my, jacket, sports jacket and all this. And I walk into this gym and this woman standing behind the desk and ignoring me. Finally, I get her attention and I said, hey, are you guys by chance looking for yoga teachers? And she goes, oh, are you a yoga teacher? Have you been certified? And I said, no. She goes, do you have your blood pathogen? Whether no. Do you have your CPR? No. And she goes, yeah, I suppose we could use you. I swear, I'm like, what's happening? So I went, okay. And it was insane. I walked back out, and again, so I had to confront that block, and it just dissolved, right? It dissolved immediately. I had no more story to hold on to. So I started doing that. And then this one day after one of my next meetings, I had done this Realizing Your Dreams. It was interesting. I was thinking about, we create our reality. Debbie, and I just was like driving, going to a property or something. And I'm thinking, I've created all of this. And I started to look out through my window and I'm looking at my hands and I'm really like seeing it as this is what you've chosen to create. If something different, what is it? what do you want to see, Debbie? And I had to pull my car over because it was such a profound feeling that was emerging. And I pulled over and I closed my eyes and I said, when you open your eyes, what do you want to see?
Mm.
And I was like, I want to see myself walking up to my own yoga studio. Again, you were a huge inspiration for this script, Chuck. You don't realize it, but you were. And I said, what I want is I want to be walking up to my own yoga studio. And I said, what does that mean to me? And I started to sit in the feelings of it and all of this. And then I said, okay, what's your first step, Debbie? And again, at the time, it didn't seem feasible. There was no A to B that my brain could map out. It was an impossibility if you tried to actually draw a connecting line.
Mm.
I said, is there a first step? And I was like, well, I'll call this guy I'd been working with that was buying up these commercial properties that were going down. So I give him a call. He goes, yeah, I have this one place. It's right down the road that'd be perfect for a yoga studio. So I was like, I'll just go. And I kind of was feeling a little guilty, like I might be wasting people's time, but I'm going to go and check it out anyways. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
And now it's real. Now I'm standing in an actual building and I'm visualizing it. And I'm taking pictures and I'm like, this could happen. And I'm feeling it. Again, I have zero way. There's no way how this could happen. That next day, I go home, I do, go through life. I'm now teaching yoga at that place. I had a huge following. I'm a super successful teacher, which is mind blowing. And I'm teaching the class. During the class, at some point, it came out of me when I have my own yoga studio. Because again, I'm teaching in a gym, which goes against every, premise of what I believe in yoga, right? There's, so I said, when I have my own yoga studio, this will be different. And after class, one of the women walked up to me and said, did you mean what you said about when you have your own yoga studio? I go, well, yeah, it's always been a dream. She goes, I want to give it to you.
Get down. Wow.
Yeah. And she goes, we just came into $100,000. My husband's mother just passed away. We're looking for something to invest in. She goes, come and meet my husband. This happened in the space of a couple of days. I followed her to her house. And now, by the way, I'm armed with pictures. So I'm looking at this. I sound like I'm actually about to do something and they want to get on board with it. And I'm showing them pictures of a building. We actually didn't end up with that one, but we ended up with a building that looked almost identical in a much better location. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
But the point is, though, so if you're looking back, though, A to B, it's like there was a clear path. In our finite mind, we can't see it.
That's right.
You had that idea. You had the desire of your heart. When you first started talking about that, it made me think of the movie Good Will Hunting. Are you familiar with the movie?
Yeah.
So Robin Williams and Matt Damon are in the office talking, and Robin Williams says to Matt Damon, so what do you want? He's a genius.
Mm-hmm.
What do you want? And so Matt Damon couldn't answer the question. He's like, oh, I want to be a shepherd. I want to go up to Nashua and get some sheep, just kind of being a smart ass. Yeah. But that's interesting is like, what do we want? And that was the start of the transformation of the journey for you, huh? Like, this is what.
Yeah. And saying it, right? The power is in your willingness to say it. A lot of people will hold in, but it's not even about saying it in a way. So what I do with Realizing Your Dreams, this program that I work and I do on my retreats and all the stuff that I do, a big part of it is recognizing who are you, what are your passions, what is it that you're here to do. I get people kind of some clarity, and then it's about what do you want? And I show people how to sort of discover that and uncover that, and then how to get clear enough about their vision that they can share it with you and you can see it too. And that's when things become real, when you can see them so clearly and share them with people that everybody else can see it too.
Yeah. So what would you say to somebody, there's also this, I don't know if it's so much conventional wisdom anymore, but only share, don't say it out loud too much, because I don't know, people might condemn it or whatever. We want to have trusted individuals that we should, like our tribe, like your lit tribe. Like, you want to have a tribe to share it with, someone that's going to hold it with love. Yeah, absolutely. So that goes back to what I was saying earlier, that faithometer and deserveometer. That's incredible what you just said, because
so whenever we have an idea that emerges, like my yoga studio, right? At first, there was like, it was just an idea. So I'm at like 10% faith in it ever being real, right? Because, well, I mean, it's possible, but so very impossible.
Yeah.
10%. But then what happens is we have to find a way to build faith. So we take an action. Maybe we start to do what I did. I looked at places. Okay, now I'm getting a little more faith because I'm stepping in it. I'm standing in it. It feels a little more real. I'm at 40%. But now I have to start sharing it with people. I have to get a little bit more, because sharing it with people actually helps us build faith, honestly. Oftentimes that person that is in front of you, again, your external world's just a projection, as you stated earlier. So that person's just you pointing out where you don't have faith. They're pointing out, and when you get to confront them, there's your opportunity to build faith. When you go, no, that's not true. I can absolutely have a yoga studio because blah, blah, blah. I'm actually just convincing myself. And you've given me that opportunity. Now, there is a point where I'm at that 100% faith. I'm making the move and it's happening. At that point, no more naysayers can come into my space. Only people on board with my dream. At that point, you can't have any faltering of your faith. You can't. You only bring around, and trust me, when you're in faith like that, there'll be plenty of people that will jump on board.
I love that.
Piece of that.
Yep. And if you wouldn't have said it out loud, that woman wouldn't have the opportunity to come forward.
That's right. That's right. I call it the Holy Trinity, which, I call it the Holy Trinity. Think it, feel it, say it. So the key is you have to first be able to think it, right? We come up with that, and in your imagination, the perfect vision of what it is you want. Then that vision brings a feeling. You sit in that feeling, and then you've got to be able to say it, because we are here to help one another. You're a piece of me. If I'm in a room and I've really felt it and I've thought it and I'm in that space of creating my dreams, now the universe is going to place around me other people and that can help me. And everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to help. So if I say, I've always dreamed of riding on a boat somewhere, everybody around me in that moment is going to go, well, they're going to run through their brain and try and think of any people they know with boats. Can they get this dream? People want to help. And if they aren't willing to say it, it can't happen. Yeah.
People do want to contribute. We want to be seen and acknowledged and know that our life has value.
That's right.
And to contribute. Absolutely. Oh, do we have a comment coming in? Let's see. Come on, party people, jump in with us. Let's see what we've got here. Debbie is inspiring and invigorating at the level of a firecracker. What a gift. That's from Adair.
I like that.
Here's a quote from your website, from your bio page. And this is interesting to me, and I want to look at it metaphorically.
Okay.
She often thinks back, she being you, often thinks back to a warning her teacher had said that, quote, yoga will have side effects. It will heal your body and your life, and you won't be able to eat at McDonald's anymore. That's cool. But I want to look at that like, if we look at McDonald's as junk food, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And we look at yoga as the practice of getting in touch with our spirit and our essence and who we really are. When we dive down that, we're going to have to sacrifice the pleasantries and some of the easy ways that we used to live. But we gain health in such tremendous ways.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's not even going to be a sacrifice. It's so interesting because you will actually shift at such a level that your teacher doesn't need to tell you that, right? My teacher did, but that's not necessary. It's just, that is a side effect. You start practicing yoga, nobody has to tell you the 8 limbs of yoga or that there's, the yamas and niyamas. But essentially, the longer you practice yoga, we start to purify the self. It becomes this desire to really clean out the system. And when we clean out the physical body, then we can purify the mind, and the whole thing works together. And it's, you know, when I first started practicing yoga, I was the most impure person on the planet, physically, mentally. You know, I came from a very dark place. And so I mean, yoga helped me quit smoking.
Mhm.
You know, purify and releasing all drugs. And that was not smoking that I'd done for like a day. I've been smoking for probably 13 years, 14
Yeah.
years. And yoga was for me what I believe was the reason I quit. Yeah, and no more McDonald's.
No more, yeah. A spiritual, but that's again, it's like getting in touch with your essence, your real, your soulfulness. The next line too is so. It hasn't always been rosy for the firecracker, ladies and gentlemen. So it says anxiety and panic attacks were something you dealt with every day, symptoms of the struggle of your childhood. So
Yeah,
you had to, like you just said, detox basically, right? I mean,
totally.
this is it's the Campbell's hero's journey, Joseph Campbell's hero's journey. It's the story, right, of how you were influenced and with negativity, you had anxiety, nervousness about just being alive, and then found something, fitted to a path, and brought some discipline to it through whatever, even if it's the grace of God, to actually start to get back to your heart, to get back to your
Yeah.
essence. Yeah.
I remember praying. I remember being very little, a small child, and praying to not have pain. That one day I would grow up, and not just emotional pain, but physical pain too. I was very sick as a child and had pain a lot. And I used to just think I can't have a life like this. Like I'd be jealous of everybody that just was, you know, healthy and happy. And I prayed. I asked for it. And so I believe that this is part of the path. I was willing to do the work. I showed up and did the work. And I sit now in a body that is, I'm so incredibly grateful for, but you know, where I feel invincible. Like I literally do. Like I feel like my body is so healthy. Like
Mhm.
I couldn't dream of feeling better, you know?
Awesome.
And it's not like I live a very like a rigid lifestyle. Like I just, oh no, I wouldn't do that. I don't put that in my body, or I don't. There's no rigidity. In fact, people talk. Yesterday, I was just on a walk, and somebody said, "Can you believe she eats bagels?" I'm like, yeah. This morning I had, you know, like 2 big giant cracked wheat sourdough bread. Yeah. Why would I? I had pizza last night. Like there's you eat. Just moderation.
And bagels is small potatoes, Debbie.
Okay, but I live, you have to understand where I live. I live in Kirkland. These people don't eat, there is no of any sort of carbohydrates.
Yeah. And for those that don't, Kirkland's on the east side of Seattle, for those that don't know. So,
Yeah.
so folks, we've only got about 22 minutes left. We want questions, bring them in. Debbie, I'm sure would love to, let's play a little game for the last 20 minutes called Try and Stump Debbie, okay?
Okay, let's do it.
Let's do it. You're an author. You said to me that you've written, you consummately write now. So you've published a book called The Path to Freedom. You've got another one in the works. I can't find the working title, but talk to us about being an author and what that means to you.
Yeah, so you know, I wrote my first book, and I encourage everybody to write. I mean, I think it's one of the most healing things that you can do. A lot of my coaching clients, that's the first thing I'm going to do is ask them to write. There's a lot of writing assignments I encourage, but also just get your story out. Write, and we work through so much in the process of writing, and that was really what writing The Path to Freedom was for me. You know, I initially what it was, again, as we mentioned, I came from a very, you know, dark place, and I felt like literally as though I had removed veils and just emerged, and I could sit in the exact same place, but I saw a whole nother world in front of me, and I wanted everybody to have that. I saw all the people that I used to know and hang out with, and they were still in that dark place. And how do I get them over here? What did I do? My path. What was the things? So I looked back over what my steps were, how I felt like I had gotten there. And that was the book. The Path to Freedom sort of takes you from where I was, shows you, and then gives you tangible steps to how to get there. It has a lot of the work in there, worksheets, processes. The book I'm writing currently is has been wanting to come out for a long time, but this environment that we're in right now, you know, and in the world has helped it sort of, you know, inspired it to really flow. And a lot of my writing is that way. It's kind of, once you sit down, it's just stream of consciousness. It just flows through me. I sometimes read it over afterwards and like I'm reading it for the first time, you know, it's amazing. So the book I'm writing now began with the conversation of fear and love.
Fear and love.
Two powerful forces. And yeah, what they, how they reside within us and the power that they have over us. And yeah.
That's what you told me. That part of your mission in life, or a kind of a fundamental of it, is to assist people out of fear and come back to love.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot to be afraid of, right? There could be a lot to be afraid of right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. We're at a time of I mean, if you ask anybody, like, you know, what's going to happen? Like, there's so much uncertainty in my lifetime. The most, you know, since I've been kind of an, you know, had an adult, mature consciousness, we don't know what's coming down the pike. Yeah. And that uncertainty. Again, it's about your perception or perspective of it. It could either be an exciting proposition or one that's fearful. But if you're assisting people out of fear, you're bringing them into the exciting possibility, right? That's my interpretation of it.
Absolutely. Please, if you have two options, why not focus on the one that is more positive, right? And by the way, you know, everything is a projection. And so what I get people to do oftentimes is say, first of all, there's never certainty for that, right? There's never certainty. It's
Amen.
Silly for us to even believe that, right? And so the only thing that we can ever be certain of is, first of all, this moment and your ability to change your perception of it through the power of your mind. You can choose to perceive this moment, but if all of us just stopped, turned off the TV, turned off everything, just looked around at your immediate environment, looked out your window, looked around, there is nothing to fear in this moment. And if we can constantly connect with this moment without bringing all of that stuff into it, all of the stories, all of the fear, and just really look at what is, you're going to discover that there's a lot of blessings right now.
There's a lot of, yep.
You have a roof over your head. You have food in your fridge. You are very blessed. You have a body that is working and up and awake, and you have a lot to work with. Let's sit in that.
That's awesome. So a question, Debbie, let me pull it up here. Cool One asks, what is the best yoga pose for a senior? And those are seniors. I don't know if they, a large part of our community are folks that are, you know, 50 or older.
Right.
What is the best yoga pose for a senior to relieve mental stress during these times? Is there a particular?
Love that so much.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic question. You know, any stretching always is just going to feel good. Just standing up and moving feels good, because elevating our energy in any way is elevating, right? When we're in love and when we're excited, we're impassioned, we're going to feel heightened energy, right? Well, energy is literally that spark of movement. So a little more movement's always going to create it. But one of the most powerful things we can do is take a conscious breath. And I'm sure this is something that you teach often, but, you know, just a pause and just take 2 or 3, you know, consecutive breaths where you're focused. So maybe you count the inhale. I like to do something I call a quad breath. So it's like a 4 even part breath, and you do the inhale for maybe a count of 4, you hold your inhalation for 4, you exhale 4, and then you hold the exhalation. And you just do that, and it will create space. You'll feel a little peace. and then insert into that piece or into that space a thought that feels good. Think about somebody that, or think about something you're grateful for.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it could just be you're grateful that you have that comfy chair you're sitting in. That's enough, right?
The point is gratitude, right? The point is the feeling tone, the awareness of
So
gratitude.
good.
Yep.
Gratitude is such a great way to shift, and come back here out of here. But fear is a construct of the mind. It is not real. People think, no, fear is there to protect me. It's there because it's a primal instinct that we're given to keep us to survive. Not true. That is not true. Instinct was given to you to survive. Instinct happens in this very moment and has no fear associated with it. Fear is not associated. Fear is a construct where you've decided a perceived future that you're fearful of. So that's creating a storyline into your future that doesn't feel good. And that stimulates a sensation of fear. That's a choice. It's not real. It's not true. It's not happening now. Even if somebody was standing over you, threatening you in some way, right? And you think, no, that fear is there. No, because fear is the worry of what's going to happen, what that person's going to do, not what's actually happening, because nothing, right? So it's all to do with letting go of fear. Like really, it's a poison. It's a toxic thing. And it's not going to assist you in any way, shape, or form. It's not keeping you safe. It's not doing anything. In fact, it's hindering and hurting your body. So a couple breaths brings you present. And if you shift from any of those thoughts of a perceived future that maybe doesn't feel good into what I have right now, it is a blessing, into noticing and turning on the filter of how grateful I am.
Yeah.
It's a powerful shift.
So for Cool One, who put that question forth, the breath is a pose.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Just the breath. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, just breathing. There's a zillion poses, but I couldn't do that without meeting Cool One.
Yeah. Understood.
Okay, so what in particular are we doing? So just connecting with your breath is yoga, right? It's actually one of the most important parts of yoga.
So how does your life coaching play into everything? You work with individuals. I know that you have, and I want you to speak to this in our last couple of minutes here. By the way, if you go to debbiedixon.net, you can see everything that she's up to and retreats and things. So through Love is the Truth, do you is that where your life coaching takes place with the retreats that you do to Costa Rica? And it looks like you're going to Sayulita.
Yeah.
Well,
Yes.
I love Sayulita. My family vacationed there a number of times and have fun. So is that part of your life coaching, or talk to us about how your business is set up a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, I do one-on-one sessions. So, I do a lot of coaching. I have, coaching clients, and we do one-on-one. A lot of it's virtual now. Some in person, depending on how long I've worked with that client.
Yep.
And so, with my retreats, the retreats are actually a deep dive into that. So I bring a small group. I limit it usually to 13 people. And that way we can sort of do the work together. So they're transformational retreats where I prepare a book, we work through this system together. So by the end of the retreat, not only have you, kind of gone through a deep, again, shift, transformation, realigned with who you are, what it is that you really want, all of that stuff, what's important to you. You've also walked away with bonds with people that you may have never had in your life before. The bonds that you develop with these people, because we get so vulnerable, so raw, and we come together in such a powerful way, that these friendships are there forever. And so that's where Lit Tribe comes in. People then, they want to be, they call themselves, the tribe, Love is the Truth Tribe, because they know what they've been through. And it's powerful. And so immediately, if they know that they are with the Lit Tribe, their hearts are open to one another. Like, I love you, right?
That's awesome. That community, right? community. Yeah.
So important. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Family. By the way, in Sayulita, if it's still there, the best coffee is at Choco Banana. Okay, it's right by the square.
Okay,
But
yeah.
anybody that might be going with that. So no, and people don't have to be at a particular level of yoga or anything
No.
Streets. It's
Yeah.
open to first
Honestly, I have a lot of people that come that are really new to yoga. And then I'll have my yogis that have been with me forever. And you can participate in the practices to whatever level. And I offer, usually my morning practice is a little more vigorous, but again, you do what you can. And then my evening practice is more of a relaxing opening. And then we do lots of meditation, lots of the other type of yoga, connecting type of yoga. So,
cool.
You know, although you see things like me doing the arm balances and those kind of stuff, you know, the last retreat I did in Costa Rica, I offered as just a fun offering to the people that came with me. I did a couple of hours of an arm balancing session, which is why, but didn't have to participate. And but why not, right? Because all levels, like.
Well, it goes back to what you said. So me looking like a fool out there trying to just do a downward dog is still the discipline, right? That's still. Right. And you know, trying to wrap your leg around your head and do this, that's still the discipline of
same thing.
Being right here with myself and going through all the things that you mentioned earlier. Yeah.
Just different layers.
Different layers. Cool. Again, DebbieDixon.net, folks, is where you'll find all the information about Debbie. Isn't she cool? So let's see. Someone, we've got another comment here, Debbie. I'm going to read. I'm reminded from Divine Chatter. I'm reminded of one of Marianne Williams's favorite phrases. The opposite of love is not hate, it is fear. And she also is reminding me of the Goethe quote about determination and something like, once you commit to anything, the universe steps up for you. I'm paraphrasing. And gratitude is a quick fix for happiness. Excellent summary of the best in personal growth, Debbie. Kudos to me as well. Thank you, Divine Chatter. Yeah.
Love it.
Awesome. What as we start to wrap up here, I'm just going to do a couple of announcements for our community. But as we wrap up, an hour goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
When you're having fun. Any general for our audience? Give us a final freestyle message. What do you want to say to everybody?
You know, honestly, what's coming to me right now is a thought I didn't finish earlier, and I think it was just reminded with that comment is, you know, when I was talking about the faithometer, she's right. Anything can be created. It's all, do you believe? And your only job is getting to 100% faith within yourself. And so doing whatever is necessary, checking in and asking yourself, where am I at with faith in this? Because I can't be mad at the universe for not delivering when I only really believe it's going to happen at 50%. So you got to get to 100% faith, and then boom, universe will lay a path. And so you've got to ask yourself, how do I get there? And that answer is in you. And then the second part, and this is really big, deserve. There's also a deservometer, and people always need to check in on that. And that was huge for me when I asked myself, did I believe I deserved it? And people can have faith in things, but not necessarily they believe they deserve it. And sometimes and that's all checking in with you too, because I'll believe you deserve it, but you may not.
Right.
How can I, you know, and I can't influence your belief on how you deserve something. You've got to say, well, you know what? I don't think I deserve it because I haven't worked hard enough, or I haven't, and that's in your belief system that you need to check in on.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to leave you with anything, I want you to know anything is possible. You're only limited by your faith in yourself and you understanding that just by being born, you are equally deserving to all the abundance of this universe has to offer, and it is limitless.
Right on.
Limitless. Yeah. And also, I love you all. Thank you all for inviting me on.
Thank you so much for being here. The faithometer and the deservometer. I love it.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we might have one more comment. Hang tight, Debbie. Just
yeah.
I feel lifted into joy and limitless possibility. I will watch this again. Thank you. Yeah. And I want to encourage folks to share these. You can find us on YouTube at Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert. Please share these videos. We're up to some cool stuff, and along with Debbie coming up in the next few weeks, and over the course of the summer, we'll have some extraordinary guests. And I'd love to have Debbie back, and maybe toward the end of the summer in a little bit, just to share some more insight and some things. But please share what we're up to. And encourage people to go to Center for Spiritual Living Palm Desert on YouTube, because we're going to keep having these conversations every day. I think maybe one more flew in here real quick. Let's see. Divine Chatter says, excellent about your faith and deserve barometer. Claim that one for yourself for sure. Absolutely. That's good. That's good. The faithometer and the deserveometer.
Yes. Check in. Where are you?
Where are you? All right. Well, I'm going to just hang tight, Debbie, for 1 second. I'm just going to do a couple of announcements here. Again, it's DebbieDixon.net. It's DebbieDixon.net to find out what she's up to and everything she's got going on. Tomorrow, it's just me. Not just me, but me, as we start our summer series with Fridays with Reverend Charles called Life on Love. And it's going to be an opportunity for the community to get to know me, just ask questions. I'll tell stories about my life. I'm for the folks here at Center for Spiritual Living, I've been here 7 months now. And I think while Dr. Joe's on his sabbatical, Fridays will be a great time for us to spend an hour together. And so you can get to know me, and hopefully I can get to know you better. And the way that happens is by tuning in and putting in some questions and comments. So that's coming up tomorrow at 10. Saturday at 10, we've got our regular meditation, and then Sunday when we push out our on-demand service, I think you'll see a little bit of a different flavor. I hope you love it and enjoy it. We're still bringing spiritual food. We recorded this week's service at the Civic Center Park. From the amphitheater, and I think you're going to love it. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and of course Jeff Harrison and Swing Point Media have a lot to do with that. So we're very grateful. Debbie, you're awesome. It's so great to connect with you again. I mean, just so cool, and I seriously want to have you back.
I would love that. I love that. Yes.
Sometime soon.
Honored. So
Cool.
I really have loved this hour with you as well, and it just the fact that one person, is inspired or uplifted, what a beautiful offering that you guys are doing this, to have this every day for people to check in and just elevate is such a gift.
It's a blessing. Yeah, totally. Right on. Have an awesome day. So it's rainy and cloudy in Seattle.
Yes. I'm not happy about it. Yeah.
Well,
that will just clear.
Bring your joy to the day.
Yeah, exactly. I know. Luckily, I have a pretty booked schedule today. So it's like, if you're going to be yucky and cloudy, today is the good day for it. So, okay.
Yeah. Well, we talked about that, and Trey mentioned before we started, Trey's helped producing the show today, that we're going to get up to the low 120s this weekend. So would I rather have rainy and cloudy or 120,
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this morning as well. I was like, gosh, Rev Charles is over there with 120. I can't even. Yeah.
For me, my blood's going to get thinner. This is the longer I live here. Grateful for that. All right.
Yeah.
Have an awesome day, Debbie, and everybody out there. Have a magnificent day. Make it your day. Make it the best day ever. We appreciate you. I'll see you tomorrow, and Debbie, I'll see you soon. Much love.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Big love, everybody. Peace.
Bye.